Yes, sir. Yes, I have
Yeah.
started. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. So
Just one
thanks
moment.
for
I'll close the windows because it's a lot of noise is coming. Just one moment, please.
yeah. Okay. So thank you very much for joining us again today, and we'll continue with reading from the rule Yatha Asadrushye 216. That's what we are going to read today. So I request Professor Bhate to start her reading today.
So I'm sorry. Now it's okay for me.
Yeah, please start.
Now just tell me whether I'm clearly audible. Am
Yes,
I?
you are. You are. You are. Yes,
Okay, good.
you are audible. Yes.
Good. So today we will be reading from Kashika Sutra number 7, and that is Yatha Asadrushye. यथा इत्येतदव्ययम् असादृश्ये वर्तमानं सुपासः समस्यते अव्ययी भावश्च समासो भवति. So now he is talking about the indeclinable yatha. Actually, we met this yatha earlier in that long rule, avyayam vibhakti, etc., etc. But at that time, we made a remark and we found it also in the sutra that it was not yatha, but it was any avyaya in the sense of yatha. And then he listed the four meanings of yatha. And here it is the indeclinable yatha itself, which is compounded with a samartha subanta in any meaning other than sadrushya, similarity. And earlier we saw that yatha conveyed, according to the commentators, four meanings. Yogyata, Vipsa, Padarthanavrittihi, Padarthanativrittihi, and Sadrushya. So, Yatha is compounded with any one of these except Sadrushya. Yatha iti etad avyayam asadrushye vartamanam, in the sense other than Sadrushya, similarity, Supasah samasyate, avyayi bhavascha samaso bhavati. I don't think I need to explain each and every word in this case because now you are acquainted with the style of the Kashika and you can very easily understand the meaning. So the example is Yatha Vruddham Brahmanan Amantrayasva. And further he explains it as Ye Ye Vruddhaha Yatha Vruddham. It means that the indeclinable yatha is used here in the sense of vipsa, repetition. So whosoever is old or senior among the Brahmins should be invited. Yatha vruddham brahmanan amantrayas. Ye ye vruddha yatha vruddham, and then he gives yet another example. Yatha adhyapakam, yatha adhyapakam. So ye adhyapakah or yo yah adhyapakah tam tam amantrayasu. Please invite whosoever is a teacher. Adhyapaka is a term which I haven't come across in earlier literature, ancient literature. This appears to be a quite later term. Upadhyayaha, Acharyaha, all these terms they appear in the ancient literature. So this term is slightly unusual to this style of classical Sanskrit. Belonging to the period to which these texts belong. Asadrushye iti kim? Why is the compound denied in case of the meaning sadrushya or similarity? So here is a padakritya. And he gives the example, yatha devarattaha tatha yajnadattaha. As is devaratta, is yajnadatta. This is a literal translation. So finally it means yajnadatta is like devadatta. So definitely yatha conveys sadrushya here, and therefore we cannot have a compound like yatha devadattam yajnadatta. This is not possible. Therefore, the simple sentence would be yatha devadattaha tatha yajnadattaha. Yatharthe yad avyayam iti purvenaiva siddhe samase vachanamidam sadrushya pratishedhartham. So this is a kind of a justification for the repetition of this statement about yatha. And he says, since the earlier rule mentions the word yatha along with its meaning, yatharthe yad avyayam. This new statement, another statement about yatha, idam vachanam, is meant to reject compounding of yatha with the meaning sadrushya or similarity. Yat yatharthe yad avyayam iti purvenaiva siddhe. In the earlier rule, it was not yatha that was mentioned, but yathartha was mentioned. In the meanings of the indeclinable yatha, that was the meaning of yathartha. But that we have already seen, and it is very clear from the examples that even yatha is included in these examples. Yatharthe yadavyayam iti purvenaiva siddhe sati. When it has already been established or taken care of by the earlier rule, siddhe samase vachanamidam sadrushya pratisheda. Actually, this rule is not meant only for sadrushya pratisheda, but we can say that the earlier rule refers to any indeclinable which conveys the meaning the same as yatha, whereas this rule specifically talks about yatha. So that this kind of distinction between the two is very clear, and the justification given by Kashika is just, I think it's a half truth. So now we go to Chandra. Yatha na tulye is the text of Chandra. So Chandra, of course, mentions the same thing, yatha asadrushya, in different words. Instead of asadrushya, he says na tulye. But not only that, there appears to be some more radical difference between the two rules. And that is, when we read the vritti, it will be clear. Yatha shabdaha tulyarthe subantena saha ekartho na bhavati. So according to Chandra, the word yatha is not compounded with a subanta when it conveys sadrushya. This is the meaning of the rule, which means that, and further he gives the example, yatha devadattaha tatha yajnadattaha. Since yatha conveys similarity in this particular sentence, it is not compounded. That's all right. We have already seen it in earlier rule. But what I want to point out here is that, and it must have been already clear to most of you, And that is, this rule is a negative rule. It's a negation of samasa of yatha in the sense of sadrushya. Whereas the Paninian rule, yatha asadrushya, is a vidhi sutra. It states or it teaches compounding of yatha with all the meanings except sadrushya. Whereas this rule rejects the compounding of yatha in the sense of sadrushya. And it doesn't say anything about whether yatha is compounded with a word in the rest of the meanings. So there isn't any clear-cut statement to that effect. And then we have to understand from the examples which we find in the Chandra Vritti on the previous rule, that according to him also, according to Chandra or Chandracharya also, yatha is compounded with samartha, subanta in other senses. But that we have to understand. So this appears to be a remarkable deviation. It means that this rule is a negation of the previous rule in case of sadrushya. And as I said, in Panini, it is clearly a statement. It is a vidhi. It teaches avyay bhava. Panini teaches avyay bhava, whereas Chandra rejects avyay bhava. I have on the paper which is in front of you and which was already sent to you, made a rough kind of a table. I'm very fond of making tables, and although it looks like a school child, since my school days I have a bad habit of putting things in the form of a table. But I think it should be good because it will give you a clear idea about what Kashika says and what Chandra says, and then you can compare both of them. And therefore, I have put on this paper yatharthaha, meanings of yatha, and then their examples as they are found in Kashika and Chandra. So yatharthaha, yogyata, vipsa, padartha, anativritti, and sadrishya. I have made 4 columns. And then Kashika 216, that is avyam vibhakti samukya samruddhi, etc. And under this, the examples are yogyatayaha udaharanam anurupam, vipsa pratyartham, padarthanativriti yathashakti. And sadrushya, the example is missing. Even any other indeclinable other than yatha. In case of yatha, it is okay because yatha sadrushya straight away rejects compounding of yatha in the sense of sadrushya. But Kashika doesn't bother to give example of any other indeclinable conveying sadrushya. So that is something again we have to note. So there is no example for sadrushya under 216, and then we go to the next, and that is the rule which we just read, yatha asadrushya. Under yatha asadrushya, we are expecting yatha as a purva pada and some samartha subanta, and then all the 4 or rather 3 illustrations. Yatha in the sense of yogyata, yatha in the sense of vipsa, yatha in the sense of padartha anuvritti, sadrushya, no, it's okay. But instead of giving 3 examples, Kashika gives only 1, and that is for vipsa. So an illustration of yatha being compounded with a subantho in the sense of yogyata and padartha anativritti is missing in Kashika. Now we come to Chandra, and what we find in Chandra, I have put both the rules together, the vidhi and the nishedha, which we read just now. So under yogyata, Chandra gives the same example as Kashika, anurupam. Vipsa, Chandra gives the same example as Kashika, pratyartham. And padartha anativritti also, it gives the same example as yatha shakti. Under sadrushya, yes, it gives an example but not of yatha. It gives an example, sakikhi. I think we will have to check. Perhaps it is found in the earlier rule. Yeah, 222. I have mentioned 222 here. So for sadrushya, sakikhi is given, but we don't have anything similar to sakikhi in Kashika. Whereas I remember I told you in Siddhanta Kaumudi we have sasakhi. No, sahari. Because sadrushya also is treated in two different ways by these commentators. Sadrushya conveying main meaning and sadrushya conveying subordinate meaning. So hare sadrusham sahari is a proper example of yathartha avyaya. And that example we find only in Siddhanta Kaumudi. It is not in Kashika. Not in Chandra also. And this example, sakikhi, is of the meaning sadrushya being a subordinate meaning. So sakikhi here means kikya sadrusha. So again, Chandracharya also doesn't give any meaning for sadrushya as the main meaning, as the prominent meaning of the compound. So this is what I wanted to point out. And further, one more thing, if you just glance through the dictionary, I found in the dictionary that it covers this yatha covers almost 2 pages of the dictionary, and there are several compounds with yatha, almost all of them avyayabhava compounds, but I could not, or maybe I'm wrong, but because I just glanced through them, but I could not find a compound conveying the meaning vipsa. In almost all the avyayabhava compounds which are recorded in the dictionary, I found the meaning yogyata more prominent. And there is just one or two, one only I have found, yatha vidhi, where yatha conveys the meaning padartha anativritta. So this is a state of facts about yatha. Now we have to means rather we can't decide what is what. What I mean is that whether Kashika really accords with the usage attestation or Chandra accords with the attestation. That is also again very difficult to say, because we do not know what kind of literature they had, each one of them had before them. So this is about yatha. Anyone has to make any observations on this?
I'm just want to comment. I mean, we also see this example with yatha under the category anupurvya in Kashika, isn't it?
I don't understand why your voice cannot reach me. Will you please say it once again? Now I have dragged my mobile towards me. Okay.
No, I'm asking. We also
Even
see
if I have
one more
on the
example of
speaker-
yatha.
Sorry, one second. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So do we? I mean, we have this example of yatha also in the anupurvya category, like anujeshtam and yatha vruddham there.
No, only one example as we have read just now. In Kashika, on the rule yatha asadrushye, we have just.
I'm asking about anupurvya category in the previous rule 216. Anupurvya, where we have anujeshtam. If you could check.
So what is your question?
No, so No, in the Anupurvi, what are the examples given in the Kashika for the Anupurvi in the previous rule 216?
No, actually, Anupurvya is or Anupurvi is not a meaning of is not one of the meanings of Yatha.
So that's true, but I
Yogyata
think
means
there too I think we have the example with Yatha Vruddham somewhere, or was it in the Chandra, if I remember?
Yatha
Not
Vruddham
from the
is
Chandra.
found in Kashika.
No, I think we also have it in the Chandra.
Chandra, let us check.
Under the Anupurvi section with Anujeshtam.
We have it in Chandra.
In
We have it in the
Avyaya.
Chandra, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but that is a that is
That
a
is
Yathavruddham
given.
Anujeshtam.
Yeah, that is given under Anupurva. So he also adds one
Yes.
more Yatha example there with
yes,
Yatha Vruddham.
yes, one more
Uh,
meaning is added there actually.
yeah. And
That is missing. So that
yeah,
we have to add this table.
that we
Right.
yeah. So yes. So I think in the Chandra system, and I said I mean, for example, we also have this example Yatha Vruddham here, but that is in the Kashika it is interpreted as a Vipsa example, whereas
As a Vipsa example, and it is not a Vipsa example in Chandra, it is Anupurvi.
right is a Anupurvi
It is,
example for
yeah,
Anupurvi in the Chandra.
it is
And
completely
yeah.
new.
Yes. And as I mentioned last time, that probably has this Buddhist context because in the Buddhist Vinaya rules, many of the regulations are actually let down, where some of the you can say uh, provisions are prescribed according to seniority. So especially like taking seats in a meeting or in a hall. So when you take seats, they should be kind of taken according to seniority. So I think that is the background of that particular example. When you say Yatha Vruddham in the sense of Anupurvi, so that does not mean each and every old person, but it actually means according to seniority. So I think that has this particular Buddhist context. So that's one thing which I wanted to point out. And second thing is, so I mean, can we say just to make it more clear that in the Chandra system the rule is framed like a prasajya pratishedha, whereas in the Kashika it rather works as a, or in the Panini system it works rather as a uh, paryudasa, isn't it?
Prasajya Pratishedha and Paryudasa are
Because
confined to this negative phrase, it's okay.
yeah.
But how will you describe the character of the rule as such? It's
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
so
Natutya is a
yeah,
Prasajya Pratishedha, Asadrushya is a Paryudasa, that's all right.
paryudasa, right.
That's all right.
So, hmm.
But how will you interpret the rule Yatha Asadrushya in Kashika? I mean, at least Kashika
No. So
has
I mean, yeah. No, so you are right. I mean, Kashika for Kashika it is a Vidhi Sutra, whereas for the Chandra system it is a Nishedha
yeah.
Sutra. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
and that is exactly achieved through this kind of a change in the phrasing. I mean, just turn it from Prasajja Paryudasa to Prasajja. This is what Chandra achieves, and I think that way probably I don't know. He tries to in a way avoid this somehow or somewhat duplication or in the Paninian system, because we have Yatharthe, then we also have Sadrushye, and we also have then I mean Anupurvya as separate meanings in which in all the three meanings actually Yatha can be a candidate, and out of that when you say I mean when you say asadrushye, I mean you allow in a way compound of Yatha with other categories.
Yes.
And I think somehow Chandra probably by negating the same in the case of Tulyartha, and he uses the word Tulya instead of Sadrushya. I think that may be just for the sake of brevity. I don't see any other reason for this. Yeah, but probably by doing this, and because he has also, I think, done away with the category sadrushya in his own rule, the Chandracharya. So in his own rule, the sadrushya category is not there, and it has been just subsumed under yathartha, right? So he has no category called sadrushya separately given. Yeah, so I think that's what he achieves by phrasing the rule in this
Yeah.
way.
I did not understand what do you mean by the sadrushya as a category is missing, because here you mean are you referring to the prominent meaning and the subordinate meaning, Mahesh?
No, I mean what I'm saying is that in the Chandra rule 2.2, he has not separately mentioned the category sadrushya, isn't it?
No, it is there. Sadrushya, sadrusha, kikya, sakiki.
No, but that is subsumed under yathartha only. I mean, he is not giving it separately as Panini does, because Panini
Aha.
has yatha and he also has sadrushya.
Aha.
Yeah. So and therefore the commentators in the Paninian tradition now have to make this explanation that one compound is in the sense of pradhana sadrushya and another in the apradhana sadrushya, right?
Mm.
Yeah. But I mean, the question would be that in the Panini tradition, if you take it as a apradhana sadrushya, can we really call it a genuine avebhava? Because in the case of apradhana sadrushya, the compound will rather be used as an adjective than the adverb or than as avyaya,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? So that will be a problem, and I don't know how the commentators
But do you
deal
think
with
it is
this
something
issue.
unusual in an avyabhava? Suppose sadrusham as a prominent meaning appears in a compound.
Hmm.
Harehe sadrusham sa hari.
Yeah.
Is it something unusual in avyabhava? You mean to say that?
No. So Hare Sadrusham is fine as a Bhava. I mean, but I mean this another treatment where they example where they talk about Sadrusha in a apradhana sense, because then in that case the compound will be an adjective, isn't it? And not an adverb.
So
Because
in that case,
when you say
it should not be actually treated as an avyabhava. This is what you want to say.
yeah. Yes.
But there are a few compounds. I said earlier also. Formally they are avyay bhava, because they are always they appear in the language as indeclinatives, whereas semantically they may be either bahuvrihi or tatpurusha. And I gave one example last time, if you remember, and that is matta gangam. And
Yeah.
maybe later on we'll come across examples like this. And here even Chandra gives this example sakikhi, which means sadrushaha kikya. So Chandra allows sadrushya in subordinate sense, but not in the
Does he really say that in the commentary? Can we really go back and see that again? I mean, does he say that it is in the
yes,
apradhana sense?
sadrushaha kikya sakikhi.
Sadrusha kikya.
That is
Okay, so
yes.
the analysis indicates the apradhana. Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Sadrushaha sakikhi.
Yeah.
And even in Kashika,
Hmm.
on sadrushyam in the previous rule, he says, Kimarthamenam uchyate yathartha ityeva siddham. Actually, this also is a very wrong statement, because anyway, Gunabhutepi sadrushya yathasya sadrushya kikya sakikhi.
Yeah, same one.
So both.
Now, Dragomir has joined us. So, Dragomir, can you look at the Panchika on 2.3? I mean, Yatha Natulye. And if it is short, is it possible for you to read it out quickly?
Mahesh?
Yes.
Okay, I just switched on my system. Panchika on 2.3.
Yes, Yatha Natulye.
You mean in the manuscript?
Yes.
I'll need some time.
Okay. Okay, then maybe we can come back to you whenever you're ready.
Yes, it's better. Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe Madam can continue with the.
Just give me one more time the number. 2, 3, what? Is the number?
Sorry, it is 223.
223. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 All right. Okay. I'll have a look, and then if I find it,
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Yes. Until then, Madam can continue. Yeah. Yes, Madam.
Okay. Now the next rule is Yavad Avadharane. Have we finished with Yathana Tulye? Yeah, we have. Yavat ityetad avyayam avadharane vartamanam supasah samasyate avyayi bhavasya samasu bhavat. So here he is talking about the indeclinable yavat, and again conveying a very specific sense. Avadharanam literally means ascertaining, deciding. Here, avadharana is interpreted in Kashika as avadharanam iyatta parichedaha. Iyatta literally means, this muchness, because iyat means this much and ta means ness. So this muchness, ultimately it means exact measurement. Iyatta, exact measurement, either length or weight or any kind of a measurement. That is iyatta. And iyatta paricheda is the meaning of avadharana. So paricheda, which is derived from root chida, preceded by pari, it means to cut, to delimit, to take out, to separate. So to separate from the whole, to set accurate limit, to demarcate the limit by defining the extent as any one of these meanings. So this is iyatta parichedo. So finally, iyatta paricheda means separating in order to give exact measurement. So yavat is compounded in this particular sense, avadharane. And of course, the example will make it more clear. Yavad amatram brahmanan amantrayasu. Amatra means a pot, a vessel. And here, of course, I think it is either a serving bowl, serving pot, or a plate, a platter in which we serve. So invite as many Brahmins as there are plates or pots. So here is a very fixed limit. If there are 100 amatras, invite only 100 Brahmins. Yavad amatram brahmanan amantrayesu. Amatra usually is used in the sense of a pot or a vessel which is meant for cooking. So this also could mean that invite the Brahmins considering how much food you can cook in a particular vessel, the capacity of a particular vessel. Yavanti patrani sambhavanti pancha shadva tavataha amantrayasu. Here it is a clear reference to the plates. Yavanti patrani sambhavanti. So if there are 6 plates or 5 plates, invite only 6 or 5 Brahmins. Avadharane iti kim. So here it is a very clear cut, the clear-cut meaning is understood, and that is iyatta paricheda. Delimiting by defining exact measure or measurement. Avadharane iti kim yavad dattam tavad bhuktam. So why it is said avadharane? The example is yavad dattam tavad bhuktam. Whatever was given, all that was eaten. So it means that there is no paricheda. Whatever food was served, there was no delimitation, there was no separating from that food that, oh, this much I will eat, I will not eat the whole food. That was not the position, that was not the manner in which he ate. So yavad dattam tavad bhuktam, and then he further says, na avadharayami yan maya bhuktam. So now I cannot ascertain, I cannot give exact measurement, I cannot accurately discern or decide how much I ate. So I just sat there on the table, and whatever was being served to me, I simply ate it without considering that I have to eat only 2 or 3 chapatis. So they might have served me 10 chapatis, and I might have taken 10, but I really don't understand how much, don't remember, or I cannot decide how much food I ate. So here there is no avadharana, ascertainment, discerning, or decision, or even separation. And therefore there is no compounding. He simply says yavat dattam tavat bhuktam. So we have a vakya here and no samasa. And now we go to the Chandra Sutra, which is parallel to this, and it says yavad yaktve. I really have failed to understand the meaning of this word yaktva, but it appears to mean yatva, and yatva again means the same as yatta. Why Chandra? Oh, obviously Chandra substituted yaktva in place of avadharana is very clear. It is brevity, economy of matras, syllables. Do we really have this reading yaktva, or it is wrongly printed in this edition? I don't know. So that you will have to clear after. Let me finish the rule first, and then we'll discuss about it. Because I tried my best to derive this word yaktva, and I failed. Anyway, yavat shabdaha, and in vritti it is very clearly stated, yavat shabdaha yattayam subantena saho ekarthaha bhavati. So the meaning is very plain, clear, as it is stated in the Kashika. The word yavat is compounded with a subanta in the sense yatta, fixing a limit or giving an accurate measurement. Yavad amatram brahmanan amantrayasu, the same example. Yatve iti kim yavad dattam tavad bhuktam, again the same example. And it is exactly opposite here. While Kashika gives an explanation, Chandra doesn't give any. Generally we find Chandra is more clear, and Kashika sometimes does not give a complete meaning or a complete sentence. But here Kashika is explaining and Chandra doesn't. Anyway, this kind of comparison takes us nowhere. So this much about this rule, Yavariyatve. I would like to know from someone whether this yaktva is a misprint in my edition, so that I will correct it. Can I
Yeah,
complete?
we can correct this immediately. I think you're using Chatterjee's edition, and if you look in the Editio Princeps by Bruno Liebig, it is properly written Iet 2. So this is just a typo in the Nagari edition by Chatterjee.
Sorry?
It is just a typo in the Chatterjee edition. In the main edition, which Chatterjee used, it is properly typed Iet 2.
It has to be, huh?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Do you find it in other editions?
Well, see, Chatterjee used Bruno Liebig's edition. He just typed it in Nagari and contributed some additional notes and also some mistakes and some few conjectures. Some of them are fine, some of them are not appropriate. And in this case, I think it is simply a typesetting problem. They didn't properly typeset the double T with V. And instead of this, you see in his Nagari edition Ktv instead of Ttv.
Yeah.
So it's just a typo.
Yes, thank you. So we don't have anything to compare, or maybe any one of you.
Dragomir, have you? Sorry, Dragomir, have you seen the text of Yatha Natulye?
Yes, Mahesh, I opened the manuscript. I have now the manuscript in front of me. If you like, I can read what I can read from the Cambridge manuscript. I couldn't join earlier, so I'm not now in the context, but I can just read what Ratna says on this sutra.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll just go back and see what Panjika has to say on this Yatha Natulye, because we were really wondering the intention behind this change, and we can see if Panjika has anything on this. So
okay.
Just read it.
Yeah. So what I see now on 223 in the Panjika manuscript in Cambridge, so I'm just reading now from the leaf. Yata artha iti. I have to change the leaf. Iti. So yata artha iti sadri sye praptah समासो निषिध्यते ननु यथा शब्दो अयम उपमानस तथा यज्ञदत्त इति एतत् उपमेयम् अपेक्षते तत्र सापेक्षम् असमर्थं भवति इति सापेक्षत्वात् एव अस्य समासो न भविष्यति किम अतुल्य इति प्रतिषेध अर्थेन वचनेन न एतत् अस्ति न हि अत्र यथा शब्द उपमानं किम तर्हि यथा देवदत्त इति एषम इति एषम इति ससमुदायस्तेन तस्य एव उपमेय सापेक्षत्वात् असामर्थ्यं न यथा शब्दस्य. That's all.
Okay, so not much here. So okay, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I think we can continue. So no real difference except this Laghava case of Yatha Yatve. So that's it. So we can continue now. Maybe Madam can continue with the next rule.
Sorry, I lost connection, network connection. So can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. So in the meanwhile, Dragomir just read out the Panjika, Chandra Panjika portion on the.
Yes, he was
on
reading
the-
something
Yes,
and
yeah,
the last portion I missed.
yeah, Yatha Natulye, but we don't really find anything significant that can add to our discussion. So whatever we have discussed earlier, that's all. Yes, so I think we can just continue with the next rule.
All right, I think shall we continue further, because
Yes, please. Yeah.
it's
Yes.
only for me. You should not go back again. Okay.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Please
Yeah.
continue.
So shall we read the next? Mahesh?
Yes. Yes, please. Yes, please. Please go ahead.
Okay. So the next rule, 9 from Kashika, is supratina matrarthe. Matra binduhu stokam alpam iti paryayaha. So here we have, for the first time, in the category of avyayi bhava, changed. So generally, avyaya forms the purva pada, whereas in this rule it is sup, it is a subanta. So what he says is that matrarthe vartamanena pratina saha subantam samasyate. A word in a finished word or a word ending in a case ending is connected with a samartha avyaya, which conveys the meaning matra. Matrarthe vartamanena pratina saha subantam samasyate avyayi bhavascha samaso bhavati. And the meaning of matra is made clear in the beginning, and that is matra bindu stokam alpam. So it means a small quantity, a little quantity, a bit, a small portion, whatever. And the example is asti atra kinchit shakam, or asti atra kinchit shakam, shaka prati. There is a bit of vegetable, shaka prati, a little quantity of vegetable. Shaka, I think, is used in the sense of cooked vegetable, perhaps. I haven't checked in the dictionary, but you can check it. Astyatra kinchit shakam, a bit of shakam, shaka prati. Similarly, supa prati. This could be taken either as a question or as a statement. Is there little bit of vegetable remaining? Is there a bit of soup for me to eat, maybe? Or the person who is serving might be saying that there is now a little quantity of vegetable remaining and little quantity of soup. Matrarthe iti kim vruksham prati vidyotate vidyut. Now prati is used also in this sentence, vruksham prati vidyotate vidyut, and here it means not matra but something else. And on my paper, I have given 2 rules which explain this usage. Vruksham prati vidyotate vidyut. It means lightning is flashing towards the tree. And tree is here lakshana or a mark. So tree marks the direction in which the lightning is flashing or lighting. Here prati gets karma pravachaniya saudhnya by the rule lakshanetham bhutakhyan bhag vipsasu pratiparyanavaha pratipari anu. These are the three indeclinables which are mentioned in the rule, and each one of them conveys any one of these 3-4 meanings: lakshana, ittam bhutakhyana, bhag, and vipsa. Now here prati is used in the sense of matra, and we don't have this particular meaning of prati mentioned here in this list which is given here in this rule. But this particular list belongs to a particular category of avyaya, and that is karma pravachaniya. And here, if prati is understood as simply as an avyaya, then it can certainly convey any other meaning. In this case, prati is karma pravachaniya, and therefore it governs dvitiya by the rule karma pravachaniya yukte dvitiya. This is a very, very general rule about karma pravachaniyas. Generally, karma pravachaniyas they govern dvitiya, but in some exceptional cases, some other vibhaktis. And therefore, we have this in this construction the word vruksha used in the accusative, because prati is semantically connected with vruksha. Vruksham prati vidyotate vidyut. Here, since prati does not convey the meaning matra, there is no compounding, and we have a straightforward sentence. Vruksham prati vidyotate vidyut. Sub iti vartamane punaha subgrahanam avyaya nivrutyartham. Now, this is quite clear that from the very first rule, Sahasupa, and even the earlier rule, Sup Amantrite Parangavatsware, all these 4 words, they continue throughout the Samasa section, and they are Sup, Saha, Supa, Samasa. So, if the word Sup is continued in this rule, why is the word Sup repeated? Sup pratina matrate. This is the question. Sup iti vartamane. Vartamane ityasya kaha artha anuvartamane. When we have the anuvritti of the word sup from the previous context, because it is an adhikara and therefore it continues throughout, why is the word sup repeated? And he gives the justification. Sup iti vartamane punaha subgrahanam avyaya nivrutyartham. Now you also know that when the context of avyayi bhava has started, or the section avyayi bhava has started, the word avyaya also is continued throughout. From the rule avyayam vibhakti samipa samruti etc. So we have the anuvritti of sup, avyayam, supa, saha, avyayi bhava. So he says in this rule, both the words sup and avyaya are continued from the previous context. But Panini does not want avyayam to continue here in this rule. And therefore he repeats the word sup in order to discontinue the word avyaya, which is connected with sup in the previous context. So this is a very general practice and a very common rule of anuvritti in Panini's grammar. And there is a simple rule, sanniyoga shishtanam sahava pravrittihi sahava nivrittihi. Those words which are mentioned together, they are either continued together or discontinued together. So this is the general rule. Since we have avyayam sup in the earlier context as sanniyoga shishto, they are connected with each other. You can say avyaya is a visheshana of sup, and therefore visheshana and visheshya, they can go together, and this is how they are sanniyogasishta. And both, since both are continued together, we will have undesired anuvritti of avyaya in this room. So this is general practice in the Ashtadhyayi, that if Panini wants to discontinue one of the sanniyogasishtas, then he repeats the other word, even if it is otherwise continued by anuvritti. And this is how the mention of, or the repeated mention of sup in this rule is meant to discontinue the word avyaya in this rule, the word avyayam in this. And thus we cannot have a compound of an avyaya with another avyaya. We cannot have a compound of any indeclinable with prati in the sense of matra. This is how he tries to justify the repetition of sup. Sup iti vartamane punaha subgrahanam avyaya nivrittyartham. Now we come to Chandra. Pratina matrarthe. So Chandra, Panini wanted to discontinue avyaya and therefore he mentioned sup, but Chandra goes a step further and he omits even sup. The reason is, of course, different. Pratina matrarthe, the rule means subantam pratina matrarthena sah ekartham bhavati. Obviously, Chandra here means that sup is continued from the earlier context, and therefore it is not necessary to repeat it. And he says pratina matrat. Everything is almost the same as we found in Kashika. The examples are again supa prati, shaka prati, and here again rather unusual style. He doesn't give any further explanation of supa prati, whereas Kashika offers an explanation. Astyatra kinchit shakam shaka prati, whereas Chandra is silent and it simply says supa prati shaka prati. Matrarthe iti kim, and the same example or the same rather pratyudaharana, vruksham prati vidyotate vidyut. I really do not know if any one of you have, or any one of the other scholars, they have studied the principles of anuvritti followed in Chandra, and whether it fits in with those principles or they are just ad hoc. I really have no idea. Maybe you can throw more light on this. But this repetition of sup is very well justified in Panini's grammar, because Panini does follow some rules like Sanniyoga Shishtaram, etc. But whether such thing exists in Chandra, I have no idea. So maybe you can enlighten us on this point. But we can say that, suppose if in Chandra Asankhya also is continued along with sup, because that is inevitable. Once Asankhya begins in this previous rule, number 2, it will continue in the following rules, and therefore you cannot avoid the anuvritti of Asankhya also here in Pratina. Asankyam sup pratina matrate. In that case, you will have to say that on the basis of samarthya of prati, which is avyaya, we can understand that the previous member must be anavyaya, because we cannot have a compound of two avyayas. So maybe Chandra draws upon samarthya as a device to interpret this rule. So this is also possible. I really don't know. But what I feel is that in both Kashika and Chandra, or even in I can say even the whole of Paninian tradition and Chandra, as far as I know, the concept of samarthya, it plays a very important role, and it is a very important device of interpretation, because this is what we find in the vrittis, in the commentaries. Okay, so my discussion about Chandra is over. If any one of you wants to explain anything about this presence or absence of soup, you are welcome.
Actually, we haven't read the Panchika on this, but I think the argument, the second argument which you gave about the Samarthya, I think that must be his argument, the argument of the Chandra tradition here. We'll have to really check this against the Panchika, but right now I think that seems to be the only answer. He will say that since Prati is already there, by the force of the Samarthya, we can simply say that okay, the other member should be a Subanta. That's all actually. I don't know whether Dragomir has spotted anything, but otherwise nothing else from my side. Thank you.
Yes, I want somebody to tell me about the rules of Anuvritti followed in this Chandra. Is there anything similar to Panini? I mean, repetition of a certain word is meant to discontinue another word which is dragged
Yes,
along.
I mean, Anuvritti principle operates in the same fashion as Panini, so there is no difference there. I mean, as we have, of course, the Paninian paribhashas, we also have the Chandra paribhashas. They can, I mean, for the sake of understanding the way of interpretations, but the Anuvritti principle, I think, is the same. So. So we just have to see, of course, in this particular case, how Panchika deals with the matter. But otherwise, in terms of Anuvritti, I don't see any difference, because he also works with the same adhikaras and Anuvritti, like Panini.
But do you remember of any such case where a particular word is repeated in spite of its being continued from the previous context, only in order to discontinue another word which comes along with it? Any such example do you find in Chandra? Because this is a very important principle of Anuvritti in Panini's grammar.
Yes.
It's a very distinct.
Yes.
Maybe you can find it out later.
Yeah, I'll find it. But I mean, yes, I think there is. I mean, I don't remember the examples right away, but I can tell you.
Okay.
Mahesh, if you like, I can read for you the Panchika on this sutra. Concerning the Anuvrittis, I think that the same principles are followed also by the Chandra grammarians. They do not deviate in this regard. But of course, now the justification why they do not bother to use now the same soup here is different. I just opened now the leaf and I can read to you if you like quickly.
Yes, please. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
So on this sutra, Ratna says first, matra stokam uchyate, yasya tat stokam, tasya shashti antasya pratina matra arthena samasa. Ata eva asankyam matravat artavachinas asti iti tat nivrittaye subgrahanam aparam na kriyate. Bhavatu va tatapi purvakam subgrahanam supa ekartam iti asankhya nirapeksham eva anuvartate. Pradhani. Should I repeat it?
It's okay. I understood.
Yeah.
So there is a slight change in the rule of Anuvritti. So Sanyoga Shishtas, they both of them they are discontinued, and therefore sup is not continued in this rule, according to this Panjika explanation.
Yeah. He adds something more on this.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Pradhanena tasya anuvrittasya asamkhya adi visheshanam ekayoga nirdishtanam api hi ekadesho anuvartate.
Hmm.
Kim uta भिन्न योग निर्दिष्ट योग इति सुपग्रहणम एव अनुवर्तिष्यते.
Oh, very logical explanation. Wow.
न असंख्य ग्रहणम इति व्यर्थम पुनः सुपवचनम. Vriksham prati vidyot. This is now the next matter with the
Yeah. So that is good. Actually, he has taken Panini's the paribhasha in the Paninian tradition, and he has given a full justification of why he has dropped sup. Ekayoga nirdishtanam sahava pravritti sahava nivritti. This is the rule actually. And what he says is that since sup and asankhya, they are not ekayoga nirdishta. Asankhya is in another rule, sup is in yet another rule. And therefore, there is no harm in continuing sup independently. But from whatever you have written, I find there is no any reference to this concept of samarthya so far. Huh? As I said, on the basis of samarthya, compounding of an avyaya with an avyaya can be just, this idea can be dispensed with. This is not clearly mentioned here, but we can understand this as understood here while interpreting this.
Yeah, I think in fact the very first explanation rather touches the samarthya matter, because he says that prati is samartha only with the shashtiyanta word, and then the shashtiyanta word should be a noun, and it cannot be an avyaya. I mean the very first part of the Panchika, and then he takes up this another stand, because it's a bhavatu. So he gives basically two explanations. Yeah, so your samarthya matter, he has already, that's his first preference, it seems. And secondly, he has done this another example, explanation.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So shall we go to the next rule now? Akshashalaka sankhya parinam. अक्षर शब्दः शलाका शब्दः संख्या शब्दाश्च परिणा सह समस्यन्ते अव्ययी भावश्च समासो भवति. So there are three words here, actually more than three, two words aksha and shalaka, and numerals. So sankhya covers many words. Ekaha, dvau, trayah, chatvarah, etc. All numerals. So all these words, they are compounded with pari. The meaning is not given, and everything we have to understand from the commentary. So you will find that commentary comes as a very great help in understanding these sutras on many occasions. And why Panini leaves the whole context unexplained is really not clear. Maybe because during his time, it was not necessary. This is the only conclusion we can arrive at. But it has a very specific context, and it is used in a very, very limited context. It appears from the discussion which is given in this commentary. So this one is again another example of Avyayi Bhava, where Avyaya is an Uttarapada. Now, let us try to understand the meanings of these words first. Aksha has many meanings in the dictionary, but here, from the context which we are going to read very soon, it appears that Aksha means a die. So here is a reference to the game of dice, gambling. So Aksha means a die, a cube made of wood or some other material, sometimes ivory, sometimes even a very costly metal like gold. But possible kings, while playing this game, might be using metals. And Shalaka also means a kind of a die, but it is not cubical. It is not cube in shape, but it is oblong, like a Shalaka. Shalaka literally means a long stick, a small stick, of course. So both these words, Aksha and Shalaka, they refer to two different types of die. And Sankhya refers to words like Ekaha, Gau, Trayaha, etc. And then he further says, Kitava Vyavahare Samasaha Ayam Ishyate. So this compound has a context of Kitava Vyavahara. Kitava literally means a cheat, person who cheats. But again, in this particular context, Kitava means a gambler. And Kitava Vyavahara means the play of a gambler, the game of a gambler. And further, Kashika says, Panchika Namadyutam Panchabhi Akshaihi Shalakabhirva Bhavati. It refers to a particular kind or a type of the game of gambling, which is called Panchika. And perhaps Kashika means that all this is a reference to this particular kind of dyutam, that is gambling. So Panchika Nama Dyutam, the name of this dyuta is Panchika. And why it is so called? Panchabi Akshaihi Shalakabhirva Bhavati. In this particular game of dice, 5 dice are used, or 5 shalakas are used. And the resulting compounds, by using these words, they are used only in the context of Panchika Dyuta. Tatra yada sarve uttanaha patanti avansho va tada patayita jayati. So you must be having some idea of this game of gambling, and they have these dice and they throw the dice, and this typical manner of the throw decides whether the person who has thrown them wins or is defeated, or false, even if they say false, vipataha. And how is it decided? Yada sarve uttanaha patanti. He throws them, and if all of them are uttana, that is facing upwards, or avanchaha, facing downwards, then the same person, the person who throws them, he wins. So the condition is that all the 5 dice must, when they are thrown, they must face either upwards or downwards. So here uniformity is what matters. At least this appears to be like that. Well, I haven't ever played the game. I haven't ever seen, except sometimes on television in Mahabharata and such other things. But I don't know what exactly happens when they are uttana and And how to distinguish and how to find out that all of them are Uttana, because if they have the same shape, if they are cubes, perhaps on one side of these cubes, there must be some mark, like a number or something, which decides that they are Uttana. If someone knows more about it, perhaps he can enlighten us on this. But the plain meaning of the text is like this. When all the cubes, all the dice, they face upwards, then it is win. When they face downwards, also it is win. But even one of them is different from the others, then it is defeat for him. तस्यैव एतस्य विपातः अन्यथा पाते सति जायते. Anyatha, otherwise. If something different from this uniform nature of their fall or throw happens, then it is the fall of the gambler. Vipata. And when this vipata takes place, anyatha pata. Anyatha pata, so something going, topsy-turvy, something going upside down. So one of them is Uttana and all of them are down, avancha, downwards. Or two of them are Uttana and two are downwards. Three of them are Uttana and only one is downwards, or even other way around. So anything which is not uniform or which disturbs this uniformity, then it is a fall or it is a defeat of the gambler. Just simple meaning which I could understand from this. I read this commentary, I read Paramanjari, I went through Nyasa, even Siddhanta Kaumudi. But beyond this, I could not get any additional information. Perhaps for all these commentators, the game of dice was too common to need any further explanation. And therefore, we don't find it. So he gives an example. Akshena idam na tatha vrittam yatha purvam jaye. Idam, this game, akshena na tatha vrittam. It did not happen by one die as it happened in earlier case. Yatha purvam jaye. So in his earlier throw, they were all uniform and therefore he won. So this also is taken for granted when we are using this particular compound like Akshapari, Shalakapari. This presupposes that in the earlier throw or earlier game, the gambler had won the game. So all the akshas or shalakas, they were uniform either upwards or downwards. And now he is referring to the other or to the next throw, next turn of the gambler, in which it so happens that one die, akshena, he says, it is singular. It does not perform the same way as it did in the earlier throw or earlier game. Akshena na tatha vrittam. It did not perform the tatha, the same way, yatha, as purvam jay, as it performed in the earlier case when there was victory or when it led to victory. This is the simple meaning. All this meaning you have to understand from the compound aksha pari. So here we have the word aksha subanta compounded with the indeclinable pari. Pari actually denotes something very similar to viparita. So something exactly opposite to what happened in the earlier case has happened. This is suggested or conveyed by the indeclinable pari. So it conveys a happening exactly opposite to the previous happening, and therefore I interpreted it as viparita. Similarly, shalaka pari, and then ekapari, dipari, and tripari. So he refers to the number of the akshas. Earlier he refers to the akshas themselves, and now he refers to the number 1, 2, or 3. So 3 akshas were responsible for the defeat. 1 was, or maybe 2 were responsible for his defeat, and therefore ekapari, dvipari, tripari. Parena chatushpari. Parena here is used in the sense of maximum. Maximum in case of 4 dice, you can have a compound, because when all the 5 dice they are in a uniform position, there is always a victory. So if you can find some kind of inconsistency in case of 1, 2, 3, or 4, then there is a defeat. Then you can talk about pari. So up to chatushpari, but you cannot say panchapari. This is what is understood by the word parena. Parena, paramena also is another reading which is referred here in Kashika in the footnote. And it is also in Padamanjari, it is interpreted as paramena chatuppari. And then he says, yada panchasu ekarupeshu jayaha eva bhavati ataha paramena chatuppari iti anvaya. So when all the 4 are there is always, they are in a uniform position, there is always victory. It's very complicated thing, and it's only with the help of Tika commentary that we can understand the whole context to at least to some extent. And then there appears to be some broken karika with 3 lines. There must be 2 karikas, but here one single karika with 3 lines. Panchasu tveka rupasu jaya eva bhavishyati. So this is what we have seen while dealing with this word chatushpari, discussing this word chatushpari. When all the 5 shalakas or dice, they are ekarupasu, they are all uniform, jaya eva bhavishyati. There will be victory, and therefore we cannot have a compound panchapari. This is what he tries to suggest. Akshadayas trutiyantaha. Yeah, and further he says that there is one more convention, and that is word aksha, etc. They are always to be used in the constituent analysis of this compound as ending in the instrument. Akshadayaha trutiyantaha. So we always have to say, while interpreting this compound, we always have to say akshena navrittam. And the commentaries explain it like this. They say this trutiya denotes either kartru or karana. So akshena karanena idam viparitam vrittam. So aksha was a sadhana there of this opposite happening, or akshana kartara idam viparitam vrittam. Aksha itself was responsible. So aksha did the whole thing topsy-turvy. And therefore they say it must always be used in the tritiya. It has, they are always understood to be ending in instrumental, because they are supposed to play the role either of agent or of instrument in the act of reversing victory. This is the meaning of akshadayaha trutiyantaha. And then purvoktasya na yathatat is again a separate sentence, statement. We have to interpret the compound while giving its constituent analysis, in which we have to mention this. Purvoktasya yatha na tat. And purvokta again, it is very strange to find that in the commentaries it is interpreted as Purva Vruttasya. And further the commentary says Anekarthatva Dhatunam Vachihi Iha Vartane Vartate. So Purvokta we have the root Vacha, of which we have the past participle Ukta. So Vacha means to say, Purvokta means that which is said earlier. But here commentator says that because of the principle of Dhatunam Anekartatva, so roots can convey many meanings, or rather they can convey any meaning according to these commentators. So therefore they say Vachihi Iha Vartane Vartate. The root Vacha is here used in the sense of Varta. And therefore they interpret the word Purvokta as Purva Vrutta. That means that has happened earlier. Purva Vruttasya yatha na tat na tatha. That is the meaning of this whole phrase. As it happened in the previous case, it did not happen this time. This is the meaning which we have to understand from the constituent analysis. And therefore we have to always say like this, Akshena idam na tatha vruttam yatha purvam. So all these, these karikas, these lines go to explain what underlies this compound, what meaning underlies this compound. Purvoktasya na yatha na tat kitava vyavahare cha ekatve akshashalakayoho. So kitava vyavahara we have already seen in the game of gambling. Ekatve akshashalakayoho. The words aksha and shalaka, they are always to be used in singular. This is again very interesting. You cannot say akshabhyam, akshaihi na tatha vruttam. While dissolving the compound, always you have to say akshaihi akshena na tatha vruttam, shalakaya na tatha. So this also is yet another restriction while interpreting this compound. Now, when we compare all these things or these statements with the statements made in the Bhashya, what we find is that Patanjali has this line, Kitava Vyavahare cha ekatve akshashalakayoho, but the very first line is missing. Akshare Srutiyantaha also is there. And while explaining this ekatve akshashalakayoho, Patanjali says that akshashalakayoho ekavachanantayoho iti vaktavyam, as I explained to you right now. Always aksha and shalaka, these words are to be used in the singular. And he further says, iha mabhu akshabhyam vruttam akshaihi vruttam. So you can never have a compounding of these words, akshabhyam vruttam and akshaihi vruttam. But you can certainly have a compound of dvabhyam vruttam, tribhihi vruttam, chaturvihi vruttam. So sankhya is all right in all numbers. Ekena dvabhyam tribhihi chaturvihi. But as far as the words aksha and shalaka are concerned, you have to use only ekavachana, kitave vyavahare cha ekatve aksha shalaka. So all these seems to me to be the practice or the usage during those days. In the usage, they might be saying just akshena idam na tatha, and they want to retain that and they want to explain these compounds with the help of that usage. This is my understanding of the whole thing. Of course, it's a bit complicated. Now we go to Chandra. Chandra says, Sankhyaksha shalakaha parina dyute anyatha vruttau. So Chandra has at least improved upon Panini by adding the meaning of this compound. Dyute अन्यथा वृत्तौ संख्यादय शब्दाः परिणासः एकार्थः भवन्ति. The first thing we immediately noticed in Chandra rule is the change in the order of the words, and that is obviously to save matras. Akshashalaka Sankhyaha is the order in Panini's grammar, whereas Sankhyaksha Shalaka is the order in Chandra. Of course, in Panini's order, also we have to take into account the previous and the following rules. And when these sutras, they are connected together and they are recited as a pada part, as a samhita part, then there could be saving of matra. So pratina matrarthe kshalaka sankhya parinad. This could be the continuous text in Panini tradition. So must have been silent, dropped, put into avagraha, and therefore Panini did not feel it necessary to compress it into this compound as Chandra did. This change of order. And Dyute Anyatha Vrittavu is explained here as Dyute Vishaye Yatha Purvam Tataha Anyatha Vrittavu Gamyamanaya. Sorry, my page is missing. Dyute Vishaye Yatha Purvam Tatha Anyatha Vrittavu Gamya. Yatha Purvam, he has used, it looks like compound, Yatha Purvam. As in the earlier case, so as it happened in the earlier case. This is the meaning we have to understand from the word Yatha Purvam. Tataha Anyatha Vrittavu Gamyamanaya, when something other than or something exactly opposite to what happened in the earlier case is to be understood. In the context of Dyuta, this compound is to be used. And then further he says, Panchabhihi Shalakabhihi Dyute Yada Sarvaha Uttanaha Avangmukhaha Vapatanti Tada Patayita Jayati. The same as we find in Kashika. So when all the dice, they are either upwards or downwards, then only Patayita, then the person who throws is victorious. Tataha Anyatha Vrittau Ekaya Shalakaya na Tatha Vrittam Yatha Purvam. So here he gives an example with Shalaka, and in case of Panini we find both Akshapari and Shalakapari, but here he refers to Shalaka. And does he refer to Aksha? No, he doesn't. Ekaya Shalakaya na Tatha Vrittam Yatha Purvam Ekapari Evam Dvipari Tripari Chatushpari. Abhyam akshabhyam dyute ekena akshena na tatha vrittam yatha purvam. This is something which I really don't understand beyond the literal meaning. Abhyam akshabhyam dyute, does it mean that in a game of gambling with two dice, one die did not perform the same way as before? Dvabhyam akshabhyam dyute. This seems to be a very clear, straightforward meaning, but honestly, I fail to understand the meaning of this. Dvabhyam akshabhyam dyute ekena akshena na tatha vrittam yatha purvam. Out of the two, one did not perform the same way as it performed in the earlier case. And then we have to say Akshapari Ekaya Shalakaya na tatha vrittam yatha purvam Shalakapari. Dyute iti kim ekena sharena na tatha vrittam yatha purvam. Now this is counter example. Is it present in Kashika? I don't think. No, it doesn't appear in Kashika. So it's only in Chandra. Ekena sharena na tatha vrittam yatha purvam. So the whole context is the same, but we don't have the word aksha or shalaka here. It is shara. So it is because of this arrow, but the same thing, the same arrow brought him victory in the earlier case, and now it is defeat with the same arrow. Ekena sharena na tatha vrittam yatha purvam. Anyatha vrittau iti kim. Something opposite must have happened. So then only this compound takes place. Akshena tatha vrittam yatha purvam. So here there is nothing topsy-turvy happening. Akshena tatha vrittam yatha purvam. Aksha performed in the same manner as it performed in the earlier case. So this is how Chandra tries to be more clear. Of course, some context is missing and some context is additional. This is what I find in Chandra. Moreover, as I said, my remark on the very last sentence is this Padakrutya is missing in Kashika. So I really don't know who borrowed from whom. If Kashika really draws upon Chandra, why should it omit this otherwise very significant part of the commentary? Elsewhere, Kashika does give Padakrutya. Why it doesn't give here? And it contains an additional line of the Karika, which is absent in the Mahabhashya. And therefore, when you are talking about comparison between Chandra and Kashika, so far I feel that we are still on a slippery ground. And I remember perhaps it was Johannes Bronkhorst who wrote on Chandra and Kashika, perhaps an article. I vaguely remember I have read it. And finally, he concludes in his usual style elsewhere also. And a few other scholars also conclude the same way. And they say that both they draw upon a common source, which appears to be a safer conclusion. We really don't know. But again, as I said about Samarthya earlier, as Samarthya is a point of similarity between these two commentaries, we have to, what we see is that we have always to depend on the commentary to complete the interpretation. The sutra is quite often ambiguous, doesn't give a complete meaning. So the original context, actually the original context appears to have been lost to both the commentaries, and they are trying to reconstruct it. I really don't know. But anyway, I'm not really much happy with this interpretation of the rule, mainly because I'm not much conversant with the game of akshats, dice, and therefore I don't know what exactly is understood by the word uttan and avansha. So if any one of you can help me, I will be really grateful. So far, these commentaries have not been of much help in this respect. So maybe we can open this for discussion and someone may enlighten us on this.
One reason which I could think of why the Padakrutya is missing in Kashika, because actually in the Kashika, this Dyute Anyatha Vrittau is not a part of the sutra. So it is not binding for him to give a Padakrutya, because, right? So I think that's the reason why he does not give it. Yeah, and I think about this, I don't know whether it will be the same context or not, but I mean, in case of shalakas, I just one information I saw, especially Korean students. I mean, they have this kind of shalaka thing. I mean, they have these sticks which are rounded on one half. I mean, it is like a, if you say a round stick cut in the center. So on one side it is flat, and on the other side it is round. So, and then they also do it same way, like they have these 4 sticks, then they throw it up and then they see how they fall down, and accordingly they play. I mean, that's what I know from the Koreans, Korean friends. so it might be something similar of Uttan and I mean, when you say he's talking about Uttan and Avancha. And another thing I remember is that I don't know, but I mean, in my childhood we used to play with I mean, in Marathi we used to call it kacha kaudya. So basically we use it kaudi, and this kaudi is kind of, again, it's flat on one side and the round in the other side. So like a turtle shape. So, and then we also used to throw it like this, and then in that game which we used to play in Konkan, I remember that if they fall on their back, like the turtle falling on the back, then that will be kind of probably a Avanchi position, and then if it falls on the flat
Good
side,
explanation, Suresh.
that might be the case. I don't know. Just a speculation. Yeah, but these Koreans, I've seen their sticks, and they are really like this. I mean, the half round shape, and they play with this. Maybe Chojun can tell us more. I don't know if there is anything similar in Japan, but more like Asian
Anyone
culture have something
Near
like
Japan.
Sorry, I don't know actually. So I have never done gambling, so sorry, I don't know.
Can I supply some information?
Please.
There is
From
lot of
Mahabharata.
research. There is lot of research on the game of dice, particularly done by Western scholars. But the recent work, very interesting work, is by Dr. Mehendale. It is in Marathi, Prachin Bharatatil Dyut, where you get ample information. But I do not know. I had read it many years ago, but I do not know whether he discussed all this. But just someone can just consider that and find out whether there is some explanation in his work. But he also consults the Western scholars, German scholars. I think vaguely remember. I think Luders, if you go through that, I think maybe some, because it is possible that these scholars would not miss these references from Panini or Kashika and other texts. So I just wanted to supply this information for further research. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe if I find that article.
It's a monograph, I think, published by, I do not know, but I can find out. It's very easy in Mohendale's list of works. We can find. Hello. It's not an article. It is actually a big article. You can say, that's why I said monograph. Okay. Yeah. So it is in Marathi. I do not know whether he has written it in English as well, but you can find out. Surely there are 2 volumes of Mehendale's collected works, one in Marathi and one in English. So you can find out if it is there. Someone of you, I mean, not necessarily only you or alone or Mahesh, maybe someone can find some time and to find out that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, any other comment on this? Additional information?
No, I think nothing from my side. That's all. One more, I think, work I don't know, but what he has published. But I mean, recently I remember, or I know, a student of Professor Zisk in Copenhagen. He was also working on Indian games. So I don't know whether he has written anything on this. Jakob, what is his name?
Kenneth Zisk?
Yeah, Zisk student. I mean, his student, he was working on Indian games. So I don't know whether he has written anything. We can check that as well. Yeah. Okay, I think maybe if there is nothing, we can continue.
Okay. So how much time is left for us?
I think we still have 10 more minutes, so
Okay. Okay.
we can take one more
So
sutra.
we can take up the next two. All right. So the next tool from Ashtadhyay, yeah, is Vibhasha. Vibhasha iti ayam adhikaro veditavyah. So this is a separate adhikara Vibhasha, which means optionally. Yad ita urdhvam anukramishyamah tad Vibhasha bhavati. So whatever we are going to state, prescribe, teach, henceforth, that will happen only optionally. Vakshyati अपपरिबहिरञ्च वः पंचम्या अपत्रिगर्तं मृष्टो देवः अपत्रिगर्तेभ्यः इति. So what this rule means is that all the subsequent rules teaching samasa, not only avyayi bhava but even further, they are to be understood as operating optionally, and therefore what is implied by this optionality is that side by side with a compound we also can have a sentence, and therefore the example of a compound which is formed by the rule apaparibahiranshava panchamya is apatrigartam prushto devaha, and as an option to this compound apatrigartam, we have the sentence or the phrase apatrigartebhyah. So both the vigraha vakya and the samasa, they exist side by side and they are allowed to be used in the usage because of vibhasha. And this vibhasha adhikara also implies that whatever rules have been taught before this rule, the compounds taught in those rules, they are obligatory. They are nitya, and you cannot use the vigraha vakyas or the constituent sentences. In fact, this rule, vibhasha, in original Ashtadhyayi, is a part of the subsequent rule, apaparibahiranchava panchami. So what we have in the Ashtadhyayi is vibhasha apaparibahiranchava panchamya as one single rule, whereas Patanjali has recommended this yoga vibhaga split of one rule into two, and by separating vibhasha, what Patanjali achieves is what is traditionally known as Mahavibhasha, a thorough option for the whole compounding business that is following. And that is meant to allow vakyas to exist in the usage. And therefore it is traditionally known as Mahavibhasha. This proposal of Patanjali has been accepted throughout the tradition, and it appears that even Kashika, because generally it is understood that Kashika belongs to a tradition other than that followed by Patanjali. So maybe even earlier, even before Patanjali, even before Katyayana, you can say for that matter, this practice of splitting this rule or maybe some other rules into two must have existed, and Kashika must have borrowed it from the source from which it takes the whole of the text of the Ashtadhyayi. But what is more interesting, which I would like to share with you in this connection, is the Vartika on the rule Samarthak Padavidhi. I very casually laid my hand on this Vartika and I found it very interesting. This Vartika says, Va vachana narthakyam cha svabhava siddhatvat. This Vartika completely rejects what is stated by this Vibhasha and what is stated by even Patanjali by means of this Yoga Vibhaga. Va vachana narthakyam. So it means that it is not necessary to say va, that is, here it is Vibhasha, but according to the tradition, Patanjali is referring to just optionality. So, and this rule appears on Samartha Padavidhi, that is in the Samasa context. So, as interpreted by Patanjali himself, this is a Vartika. It means that Vakya and Samasa are both very natural to any language, natural expressions. So it is not really necessary to specifically teach that they alternate with each other. Thus, Bhashya says, Swabhavatascha etad bhavati, Vakyam cha samasascheti. And this is actually a blow to this Yoga Vibhaga itself, which is called traditionally Mahavibhasha by the later tradition. But further question which appears to me, and I tried to obtain answer from different commentaries also, like Pradipa Udyota and also here Siddhanta Kaumudi and other commentaries, Balamanorama, etc. So the question is, why then is this rule put, or this Vartika put under Samartha, under this Adhikara Samartha Padavidhi? And why it doesn't appear here on this rule, Vibhasha, Apaparibahi and Chavapancha. On the contrary, Vibhasha is very clearly stated as a separate rule. And here in this Vartika on Samartha Padavidhi, it is clearly stated Va Vachana Narthakyam cha Swabhava Siddhatva. So they go exactly contrary to each other. That is my first observation. My second observation is that since this Vartika appears on the rule Samartha Padavidhi, actually this has nothing to do with what we are reading at present, nothing to do with Kashika and Chandra. But my question is, why is this Vartika put under Samartha Padavidhi, and does it not imply, indirectly suggest, that originally the rule Samartha Padavidhi itself contained the word Va? So basically the rule must have been Samartha Padavidhir Va, and then Katyayana challenges the necessity of the word Va in this rule. And then he says Va Vachana Narthakyam cha Svabhava Siddhatvat. That appears to me to be a very natural and straightforward explanation of this Vartika, which appears on Samartha Padavidhi, whereas dragging it out of the context and understanding it to mean Mahavibhasha Vachana Narthakyam appears to be a bit strange, but that has been consistently done by the commentaries. So this is what I just wanted to share with you. Maybe I am wrong, I don't know. Perhaps maybe H.D. Joshi in his Samarthanika has said something, but apparently I don't remember he has said anything there. But here is a very stark contrast with this rule, and therefore I thought I should share it with you. Do you want to comment anything on this, or you want me to go further?
I think it's a really an interesting observation and interesting comment. Yes, I mean what you have pointed out is really something which we should think about more.
Yeah.
I think there is also this another kind of this Svabhava Siddhatva which you mentioned. I thought Does it have any connection with this another opinion expressed also in the grammatical circles that in fact Vakya and Samasa are two different entities, independent entities, and we should not say that Samasa is something which is produced out of the Vakya, or when we analyze Samasa we get Vakya, but actually they are two independent entities. So can we connect this with that statement as well? I mean, this Swabhava Siddhatva, this particular expression, what do you think?
Is this question addressed to whom?
Yes, to you. So
sometimes I miss the words because, you know, as I told you, something either wrong with my mobile or I don't know this in technology. But sometimes I really am not able to problem. Yeah. Actually, you know, in later semantic texts, they do understand Samasa as an independent entity, because they always say that Samasa gives you one single meaning and so on. And all these constituent analysis and derivation things, they are, as Bhartrhari says, Shastreshu avidyaiva upavarnate. I don't remember the karika. But all this is avidya. This is meant for Balanam Sukha Bodhaya. They exist in their own world, they exist independently, but because you know, children, balas, they don't understand. Therefore, all this, the whole enterprise of grammar itself is meant for that, according to Bhartrhari. शास्त्रेषु प्रक्रिया भेदैः अविद्यैव उपवर्ण्यते, says Bhartrhari. It's a very significant and very interesting remark. So Bhartrhari, in just one sweeps, completely discards the whole of grammar. He says grammar is nothing but avidya. So what you say, Mahesh, is paramarthataha satyam. Paramarthataha samasa exists independent of a sentence. Even, you know, when we analyze a sentence into different words, even that they say is a fiction, is a myth.
Yes.
Finally, a complete sentence is the ultimate reality.
Yes.
But for the understanding of the ignorant, they break the sentence into separate words on the basis of some points of similarity. That's all. Yes. Because they find Ramana, they find Ramaha, Ramaya. So on the basis of that, they split. Then they split further into Rama and case ending and all that. So all this is avidya.
Yeah.
This is the answer given by philosophers. A philosopher like Bhartrhari gives this answer.
No, why I thought of this is because the word Swabhava Siddha. So maybe I thought that is this something which is there in the mind of Katyayana when he says this. So the Samasa.
Mahabhashya only.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think good. So we have, I mean, the time is almost up. So it's a good point to, in a way, to stop and think more about this, and maybe we can continue discussing this on Monday. So I think I wish all of you a very happy and safe weekend, and let's meet again on Monday at 4:30, and then we will continue this discussion. In the meanwhile, maybe if Dragomir can have a look and see if the Chandras, I mean, they of course club the rule. They don't have separate rules, so they rather follow one sutra, which we'll see next time. So he can check in the Panchika whether there is any comment or explanation, on this, and we can take that up next week. So thank you very much, I think, to all of you, and to Professor Bhate especially. For a wonderful session today. It was so refreshing and so much new information, and especially the viewpoints which Professor Bhate presents to us. I think this is remarkable. So I thank all of you again, and I stop here. So wish you all the best for the weekend, and see you again on Monday. So thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.